the way that I've started to plan for this build project is I found the object that I want to build, which is this whale. It's kind of a weird looking whale. I don't know much about humpback whales, but it looks sharp to me. And also there's some sort of a hole up here. So I don't know what the heck is going on here. I don't know what this thing is supposed to be. But this is kind of the model that I'm going to go with to use in Minecraft. It's kind of cute. I guess maybe the back end will poke out of the water. You know, I could put this at some kind of an angle. You know, I could maybe turn him going down or something, or coming up. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and put it like this. And that'll be our model. If you delete the texture, I guess you can see you know, just what our model looks like here. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how I convert this into Minecraft blocks. To create my blueprints for Minecraft, I started out by creating a big block of blocks. It's a block of blocks. And so this is the size that I want to make my mega build in Minecraft. It's not even really that many blocks across, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. But this block right here is composed of hundreds of thousands of smaller blocks. So that gives me about the size that I want this thing to be in my world. Then what I did was I came over here and turned on the whale object, and I lined up the whale within that block there. So yeah, I've got a side view and a front view. I got him all lined up. You can't see in this view because he's actually inside of that block. So there's no whale parts sticking out. And then what I did was, using some of the effectors in Cinema 4D here, I subtracted parts of the whale. Let's see, let's turn this off. Subtracted parts of the whale from the blocks there. And so the final result is just this huge whale that is created consisting of blocks. And then using a little bit of color, like around the eye, I can highlight where the eye is using different colored blocks in Minecraft. You know, this hole on the back here, I'm just going to kind of come and fill that in and make that up in Minecraft. So I'm not too worried about affecting my model. Look, I can actually see where the eye is because it left a hole there. There's actually a hole in the object here, so that's great. So now I know exactly where the eye is, and then I just basically have to break this thing down layer by layer and build a blueprint from it. Now, one thing that kind of struck me as funny is it's not symmetrical. You know, when I look at this top-down view and zoom in, you can see that, for instance, this row here, you know, is like a row farther down from this row. In the grand scheme of things, nobody's going to see that, you know, he's off a little bit. The flipper is probably not a big deal. This one ends with 3 blocks. This one's got 4 blocks and then 1 block. Again, the side of the body kind of comes at a little bit different angle there. But, you know, when you look at him, it looks like a whale. If you're far enough away in Minecraft to see this guy, you're not going to notice that the two sides are slightly different. Each side looks great on its own. So now we just have to get into, I guess, a different view, break this thing down into layer by layer, and save a bunch of images that I can use as my plan to build this guy. So let's look at that. Alright, so here I am creating my images for my blueprint. I basically created this big plane that's got boxes that line up perfectly with the boxes that are my pixels for Minecraft. And so what I've done is I've done the first 5 rows, and then I'm going to pull this up into the 6th row, turn on my Boolean calculation, and then when I look at this top-down view, it highlights the pixels or blocks that need to appear on the 6th row. So I just grab a screenshot of each row, And in the end, I have just a detailed plan of block by block, layer by layer, and then I'm going to go and build out this whole thing. Alright, so here's some potential blocks for the color palette for the whale. And I've tried a few different things, some with texture and some without. Most of these are really more gray in color. I couldn't really find anything that had like a blue tint that wasn't just over the top blue. So these I thought were kind of really good. Some of these ones over here have a little too much texture. I mean, they might work interspersed with some more solid blocks, but I really prefer the solid blocks, just a solid look for my whale. So I think I'm going to go with mostly this cyan terracotta color here for the majority of the whale. Then I'll work in a few of these darker gray concrete blocks kind of for texture on the top of him. And then for the underneath of the whale, I mean, I could go with this just white concrete powder or white concrete, I guess, here. But I also like the white wool. The wool's got just a little bit texture to it, so I kind of like that. So maybe once I get these, I'll put them together and see what I prefer. Now it's time to figure out where to put our whale. I have this little beach area, and behind me is my little tiki bar, and there's kind of a little tower off over there. I have an area over here with some underwater tunnels, and that leads over to this tower that we have in the background. And then over here I have like behind the tiki bar, I have a kind of a large area with some deep ocean, and I think our whale is going to fit right in here. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up to do that. To make this easier on me, I went ahead and created a grid system. So I'm going to kind of mark out the start center of my whale, and then I'm going to count out like 10 blocks, and every 10 blocks I'm going to go ahead and put a tower of, this dirt block so that it stands out. I'm going to create a whole grid. So then as I'm building my whale, I have something to mark my my distance with so that all my blocks will line up. So here's the start of my grid system. You can see how long the whale is going to be and then how wide he is. So I haven't yet put pillars at each of the 10 blocks, but I've kind of laid out the width and height. And so that's a pretty long whale. He's going to end up right over there on the beach, and he's going to go way over to by where the tower starts. So here with the grid, I've laid out kind of my plane that I'm going to start building on. So I'm going to come out here and looking at my plans, I'm going to go ahead and set down the first block. Bam. Alright, and now it's just follow the plans and build the whole piece out. So here I am starting with the first flipper. I went ahead and fast forwarded it for you guys so you don't have to sit through the whole thing, but this is the first few blocks of the first layer. Getting that all put in. It's a little hard to get these down. You got plants that get in the way. You're constantly sinking in the ocean as you're looking at the thing, but I'm getting it together, and I'll show you how that works out. So here's the whale coming together. You can see I've done quite a few layers. I've got my grid system all set up so that I can see where I am on my plans. So I've been working on the whale for a little while, and I want to come ahead and show you my progress. So this is where I am. I have the whole kind of tail worked on here, and it's getting it together. It's getting pretty close to the end here. I can tell that because I'm right here by the surface. So I've got basically a couple more rounds to go, and then a little bit of the whale sticks out of the water. So finally here I am, finishing off the very top fin. That back fin pokes out of the water a little bit. And I'm going to do a little cleanup here. Just got a few little odds and ends to tidy up. Get rid of this chunk here. And then this is what it looks like. There's our whale. I need to work on a little water spout for him, blowing some water up into the air. He's breaking the surface, and again, add some more detail and tidy it up. So let's get started on that. So I'm going to get ready to do some work on this eye and add some eye detail. But first I'm going to come inside the whale and drain all the water out of it. So this whole thing is filled with water, and I can use these sponges and get rid of all those water blocks. And we're going to get this thing emptied out so we can do some work on the inside. So I'm looking at this eye, and that's not quite what I wanted. He needs to be able to see forward here. That piece of glass is on the outer piece, but I think it needs to be moved in a little bit. He kind of looks like he's wearing glasses here. So I'm going to work on some of these details, kind of get this eye socket set up the way that I'd like for it to look. And that's more like it right here. And let's go inside, and we're going to go ahead and set up the way that the eye is going to look in here. As you can see, I've emptied out all the water. And so here's our eye. I'm going to go ahead and move that in one. That was a little, like I said, looked like he had glasses or something. So let's bring the eye in. And then I'm going to use some of this black stone, which is just like a really dark and black material. And I'm going to go ahead and create kind of a socket around the eye so that he's got like a dark eye space there. And then what I'm going to do is use these candles to add a little glow to it. But let's get out here, and I need to be able to work on the side of this thing. So yeah, here we go with the candles, and light them up. And so that's going to kind of make our eyeball. And then I'm going to go ahead and fill that in with this black stone, which is going to kind of hide the area around there. Let's get down in here. I need to get off on the side here because I'm going to make, I need to add that one block there, and then one more block just to close it off, using my fancy dirt scaffolding here. Alright, and then that's it. That's kind of how the eye is going to look, and here's what we have. He's kind of got this glowing purple eye, which looks great. It's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. And here's the eye on the other side. So now we got both of them. Alright, this water spout is terrible. I tried to do a water spout, and then I went online and I looked to see if somebody had like a recipe for a better water spout, and I couldn't find anything. So I'm on my own here. I'm going to go ahead and create something just with some sheep wool that I got, different colors of sheep's wool, and let's see what we can get put together. Alright, so let's start with some dark sheep wool, and I'm going to fill in this area here. Just come straight up with it, shooting that water spout right up into the air. Maybe I'll switch colors here to like a little lighter blue. I'm not sure how tall to go with this thing, but I think he'd go way up there. So let's add some more height to it, and then I think I'm going to sweep it back a little bit because as the whale's moving forward, it's going to turn that water toward the back. So it's going to kind of go up and back, and then up at the top, I guess it needs to flow outward a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up. And like I said, I don't have really a model to look at or a recipe, so I'm just kind of making this up. So let's see what I can come up with here. So here's the start of it, which I think is actually looking pretty good. We got about a good height on it, and it's going to start spraying out. I'm just going to have to refine this a little bit. Here's kind of what I came up with. It's foaming out at the top a little bit as it goes up. Just keep working on that detail and add a little bit more to it. I'm going to have this kind of foamy water kind of come out, hang down a little bit, kind of extend it outward. Let the gravity do the work. And then here's kind of what I got. I think it's great. It really looks like some water spraying up there. It's got a good angle to it. So yeah, that's kind of what I came up with for the water spout. So one of the last details that I've been fighting with here is that sometimes underneath these blocks you get like a flowing water effect or a flowing water animation. And I'm not sure why that is. You know, here you can kind of see that there's a little space between the water and the blocks. Sometimes when you look at it from below, you'll see like that surface water texture. And then it's a little annoying because while you're inside of the whale, you hear like this flowing water sound effect. So I wanted to clean that up a little bit. I guess what I'm trying to do here is bring in these seaweed, kelp, which normally what that does is it fills in the water blocks everywhere the kelp's growing. So I went ahead and kelped in the entire whale here. It took a little bit of time, but I think it did get rid of some of that flowing water animation and sound effects. And although I still do see some a little bit, I think that's pretty much solved the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and get to work on the ground texture. And let's move on from there. All right, so I went and gathered all my materials to do a little terraforming. I had to dig out a lot of the ground around the whale to make room for him. And now I'm going to come and get all this gravel material, and we're going to go and lay that down on the ground and make our seafloor look like a natural seafloor. So as I get on over to the whale, and you're going to see that the whole area below him, I've basically dug it all out. So instead of the gravel, there's a lot of the stone material, which is, you know, slightly different from the regular gravel of the seafloor. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take my gravel blocks and just start filling all this in. And so it's going to take, I'm sure, hundreds of these blocks. And I'm going to go ahead and build it all out and lay it down so that it looks like just natural seafloor was formed around the whale, or, you know, that he's swimming kind of through this trough in the ocean floor, and not that he's you know, an inch off of the bottom of the floor. So I'm laying each one of these blocks down, and sure enough, it's a little bit of time, but we'll get all that filled in, and let's see what we got here. A little more natural looking area, and it's all going to be gravel. So I'm finishing up the back part here. I've got that whole front section done, and now I'm just wrapping up the back of this little rise where the whale is and filling all these in. Alright, so here's what we got. This whole undersea area is now graveled out. I had this little monster to fight off here, but got rid of him. Alright, so here's what we got. Gravel everywhere. Now we just need to fancy this up with some undersea plants and stuff so that it looks like the more natural areas around here. Alright, so I got a bunch of plants and some bone meal, which bone meal, when you throw it on the ground, is going to create plants. So I'm just going to come around here and kind of move around and put some plants where it looks appropriate. It kind of throws down a really big area of plants, so I'm going to have to come and thin this out. That's like a lot of grass. I'm going to put it around here and get it all filled in so that when you know, somebody comes and visits the whale monument or whatever this is, it's going to look like just a natural area. Boy, those grasses look very repetitive. So for sure I'm going to come back in a minute and thin some of these out. Alright, so let's see. I'm going to look around and see where the grass looks like it possibly needs to be tweaked a little bit. So I can come in here and remove some of the extra grass here that's just, I don't know, it's kind of got a weird look to it. It just looks too repetitive and too much. So I'll pull some of this out, and then I can use bone meal to maybe grow some of these other grasses to be just taller grasses. And yeah, so we're going to clean this up a little bit, and then I'll come show y'all what we got. Finally, the mega build is complete. I'm not even sure what qualifies as a mega build, but this thing is pretty big. It's got to be like the longest item I've ever created. I went ahead and left my whale white. It literally reminded me of a character I've read about in a book. So, what the hey? Initially I was going to go and replace a lot of these blocks with different colors, but in the end I decided it's done and I'm ready to move on. But it sure is a nice look. Fills that space well. It's in the ocean. You can see it from up top. And makes a great addition to my little waterfront area here. So I'm calling this a success. I was really proud of that water spout. And that's it. That's how you do a mega build, everybody. Don't forget to smash that like button.